Well, in my story, and really this is kind of my opinion on the subject, this is an area where people really don't have a lot of knowledge. The Bible doesn't really say that they were living in poverty. It doesn't really say that they were well off either. The question is not addressed. But in my opinion, there's no reason to believe that Mary and Joseph lived in poverty. For example, the reason they couldn't get a room at the inn had nothing to do with money. There was no room in the inn. The town was booked up. All the rooms had been let, and so they had to find an alternative that had nothing to do with money at all. Now, here's the other thing to keep in mind. Joseph was a carpenter. And actually the word that's used in the ancient Greek has more to do with being a builder or being a stonemason. And if you think about Joseph as the person who went around building houses, how many home builders do you know in our culture who live in poverty? These contractors, these builders usually do quite well, and they may not be the wealthiest people in the world, but they're not going to be the poorest either. They're going to be able to afford some very expensive equipment. Joseph would have had to buy his tools. He would have had to maintain a shop. He would have had to buy materials. He would have had to have a home that was suitable as a showpiece when people wanted to buy a house. What's the house going to look like that I'm going to build for you? Well, come and look at my house. I'll show you one that I built. So all of that would have suggested that Joseph would have been a successful tradesperson. He was the town carpenter. He probably, and builder, and in that role probably would have been one of the people looked upon as a leader or a pillar of the community. Think of the pillars of the Chamber of Commerce, that type of people, the small business people in your own life, in your own community. He would have been more of that stature in the community. So we know if that's the case, then poverty probably isn't the case at all. And then, as I said, the scene with the inn and the stable makes people assume that Joseph and Mary were poor, but it's just not the case.